First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushua Ba'Hashem Rukakudash. Yahweh to this world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai to this world ignorantly calls Jesus. Ba'Hashem means in the name, Rakah means spirit, and Kodash means holy. And that's on the Paleo Hebrew. Also to give double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. In today's video, I wanted to go into how, eventually NATO will come against America. Okay, NATO and Russia will side against America. As crazy as that sounds, that's what the scriptures say. How all nations will turn against America. So let's first read this right here. This is today. It says, Russian drone hits Romanian apartment building, officials say. Putin advisor warns EU after drone hits Romania. The peaceful sleep is over. NATO ready to defend every inch of territory as Russian drone hits Romania. Romania says Russian drone hit apartment block. NATO vows to defend alliance territory. NATO and EU condemn Russia after drone hits Romanian residential block. Ukraine war live. Putin denies blame for Romania drone hit and says conflict near end. And one more, it says NATO members condemn Russia after drone slams into Romania apartment building, wounding 2. So first thing I want to see actually here is the fact that it says Putin, denies the blame. So I want to see exactly, what kind of narrative they're spinning or what's being pushed out. So Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday questioned if the drone which crashed into an apartment was blocked in Romania was from Russia and suggested it could have been a Ukrainian drone. Putin told reporters that he had only just heard of the incident and suggested that drone wreckage be handed over to Russia so that Moscow can conduct its own independent investigation. He said Ukrainian drones flew into Poland and Baltic states before. I think we have the same situation here. The first reaction was exactly the same as it is now in Romania. The Russians are coming, Putin said. Then after a short time, it turned out they had nothing to do with Russian drones. Putin also pushed back against remarks by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, who accused Russia of crossing another line with the incident, saying that she had not examined the drone debris herself. A NATO spokesperson has said that the drone was of Russian origin. So what we're seeing right now is essentially Romania, NATO is saying it's, Russian, and Russia is saying, we don't know. Maybe it could have been Ukrainian. So a lot of confusion here, but eventually what will happen is that America, that we're going to get, this is all going to escalate to World War III, right? Having NATO, EU against, the East, Russia, Iran, China. That's what it's all leading towards. But like I said, the scriptures do say, because while I was reading all this, where's Trump? What did Trump say? So when you look up, was Trump in any of these talks, this is what you find. Right here, that's what I saw. It says, Russia strikes NATO member Romania and Trump goes silent. Right, Trump goes silent. He hasn't said a single thing when it comes to this conflict. And the reason why is because Trump, is talking about leaving NATO, right? It says President Trump has not formally withdrawn the United States from NATO, but his administration is taking steps to scale back America's military commitments to the alliance. The administration announced it is reducing the number of U.S. jets, bombers, and warships dedicated to NATO following tensions over Europe's refusal to back U.S. efforts in the Iran war. Right, so Donald Trump is wanting to leave NATO. And let's now go to the prophecies to see how, as I said, the Bible says that all nations will turn upon Babylon the Great. So if you don't know, Babylon the Great is talking about America. When you read Babylon the Great in Revelation, it is talking about the United States of America. And specifically, it goes into the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, which if you want the, explanation as to what that's going into, if you search up GMS, beast, 7 heads, 10 horns. There's a graphic that is designed that, explains it clearly what that's going into. The 7 heads going into, the 7 empires of the Edomites, and right here. So I'm pretty sure this is like the only one that, actually, I think if you search up GMS website, let's do one more search. Great Millstone website. Right. So here is where you can actually see the camp signs. Right here. So this is the picture. And if you go into it, the 7 heads is going into the Greeks, the British, Germania Minor, the Spanish, the French, the Romans, and Germania Major. Right, and the woman, which is the horse sitting upon that beast, is America, right? Because America is the one that controls all these nations, right? When you go into Revelation 17 and verse 18, it says, "And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth," right? America is the powerhouse. Now, what I want to go into is when you go into what are the 10 horns, it says right there on the right, the 10 horns represent the Common Market or the European Economic Community, the EEC, established in 1958. Today, the EEC is known as the EU, the European Union. It says Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Greece, Spain, and Portugal, England and Ireland, West Germany. Right, so the 10 horns is going into the European Union. Now, when it comes into NATO, it says NATO is an acronym for North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It was established August 4th, 1949, consisting of 19 nations. These nations make up NATO, which is the beast. So this is important because when you go into Revelation chapter 17 and verse 12, it says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast." Right, going into how, the European Union, NATO, okay, they all come together in one mind. Right, that's the whole idea of you attack NATO, you attack all members. Right, but there are specific members in that union in NATO that are not strong at all. But through that system, the beast system, they have the power of the beast, of the whole beast. The smallest kingdom can have the power of the whole beast, right? But it's only temporary. That's why it says, for 1 hour. It says, "These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful." Right? Because the Bible goes into how when Yahushua, the Messiah, returns, okay, he's going to fight the nations of this earth. Okay, that is written in multiple places. The one part I want to get is, it phrases it like that, kings of the earth. In Revelation, right, Revelation chapter 19 and verse 19, it says, "And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army." Right, so this is going into armies. Okay, this is going into kings, humans, coming against the Messiah and the angels. So, going back to Revelation 17, it says in verse 15, "And he saith unto me, The waters which thou sawest where the horse sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire." Right? So those same allies will eventually turn into enemies and burn the whore America. So NATO and EU eventually will turn on this place. And that is going to be all nations turning on this place. It says, "For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of God shall be fulfilled." All right, so this is the plan of the Most High. So I bring all that out to show how, we have the inside scoop. We see what's happening before it even happens. Right? This whole thing with NATO, with the EU and Russia, right? It's all to escalate, the Third World War. But something is going to happen in the midst of the Third World War where every single nation turns upon America and destroys this place by the way of nuclear missiles. Let's get that. Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 9. It says, "For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man, none shall return in vain." Right? So Babylon going into America, nations, great nations are going to assemble themselves and shoot arrows from however far they are. That's why it says from thence, right? From that far region, they're going to shoot arrows, aka missiles, upon Babylon, upon America. And it's going to leave this place completely desolate. That's why it says, when you scroll down to verse 39, it says, "Therefore the wild beasts of the desert with the wild beasts of the islands shall dwell there, and the owls shall dwell therein. And it shall be no more inhabited forever, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. As God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, saith Yahweh, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein." Right, so this place is going to be destroyed exactly like Sodom and Gomorrah. Fire. And it's going to become a desolate wilderness where only the animals inhabit. It's going to be, it's going to be prohibited for any human, any person to live in this landmass once it's destroyed. So that's what's coming. Okay. And when you go into, you want more detail how it's going to happen, verse 45, "Therefore hear ye the counsel of Yahweh that he hath taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them." Right? So the least of the flock, okay, is going to draw America to World War III. Who are the least of the flock? The Israelis. And through bringing them out, to fight that war, they're going to both destroy themselves. Right? They're going to make their habitation desolate. Israel's going to be utterly wasted by Russia, Iran, and those nations. And eventually, after that, they're going to go towards America and completely waste this place. That's why it says in verse 46, "At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved, and the cry is heard amongst the nations." So what is going to make the earth completely move? Right? As it says in Isaiah, "The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard." What is going to be that great noise that is going to take Babylon? It's all the thermonuclear missiles. So, hey, the Wadi Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Rukakudash, because he is speeding up the prophecies. And as it says in Habakkuk, "Though it tarry, wait for it will surely come, it will not tarry." These things will happen. So with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Rukakudash, and double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Shalom to you, like Shalom.